Yes, I am going to talk about the Tarkin novel by James Luceno. Now, I have read this book once. First of all, when I first had it, it was during an assignment, and I have been planning to read this book for a long while, and I said, let's just pick this one, I'm gonna read it anyway, so might as well fucking put good use of it. Now, I got to borrow it from a friend, but after I read it, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get a copy for myself. This was really good. So, yes, this is by the same writer that wrote Aftermath. So, James Luceno is very famous within the Star Wars book lore, and I would say he wrote a fucking awesome book this time. So, I wrote down a few notes, #scripted, but whatever. The pacing, it was kind of slow at the beginning, it was tempered by some action scenes in the middle and then rushed at the end. So this wasn't a book that grabbed me from the first chapter. I found myself having to reread paragraphs because they didn't stick, and the water slowly boils to the point of conflict, and pages fly once you're in the middle of action. Then it slams into a abrupt ending, which I was kind of disappointed at, but we'll get more into that later. It was not a bad ending per se, but it did come across as slightly rushed. Well, the plot summary. During the exposition, it essentially all the attention is turned to the main character, Wilhuff Tarkin. He was one of the most powerful individuals in the Galactic Empire, a Grand Moff who shaped the Imperial doctrine and was the driving force behind the creation of its key embodiment. You might remember Tarkin as being the let me do my best impression here. If you prefer a military target, then name the system.
Then name the system.
Whatever, just fucking nerding out, killing myself. No, he was in fact the commanding officer-in-chief of the Death Star during the 4th movie. So, everyone who wanted some backstory from this guy got it in this book, and in the Clone Wars TV show, but this just wraps it up. This is all him. Glorious. Now, as the plot unfolds, so does Tarkin's past, and we learn about his family, his home on the planet Iridio, I think I pronounced that right, I'm not sure, but whatever. And a little about his time in the Clone Wars, which is especially important since we only see him for a couple of episodes in the show, so really appreciate that, thank you. And most importantly, we see his family's particular rites of passage, and those were fucking extreme, I tell you. Whoa, we'll get into those. Those experiences, which are essentially an intense game of survivor pits, which basically sets Tarkin against wild creatures and nature, which then ultimately shaped Tarkin into the man we met in episode 4. They taught Tarkin the value of ruling with fear, and it's a theme that runs throughout the entire book, and the Empire's governing techniques are rooted in intimidation. They're building the Death Star to rule with terror, and this is also an example on how Tarkin himself shaped the Imperial doctrine. They basically took everything over and then ruled with terror. Why the fuck do you think they built those fucking massive Star Destroyers? One of those things comes in orbit, you dead, son, you dead. So, the narration of the book. It's narrated from a third-person perspective, and is almost entirely focused on Tarkin as main character. They do strafe out from time to time, and when they do strafe out, talking about lore at times, but mostly flashbacks, those were the times you can sense that the story sort of derives away from itself, but it doesn't matter. When it derives, you get good shit, but sometimes you feel that you just want to stick with the main plot, and it just sort of flies away at times, but it doesn't matter. So in retrospect, the book is a descriptive background or origin story about a character that didn't get the attention he deserved in the movie, or maybe just the attention they didn't have time to give him. Doesn't matter, he gets it here. Oh yes, he does. The overall theme of the book, as I said earlier, mostly centers around Tarkin's will to power, and he wants orders executed at all costs, and thinks that the power is best concentrated within a few, as long as he is one of those few individuals. let's see, something else I wrote down. Yes, collateral damage and soft targets, which are both meaningless to both Tarkin and Vader. He makes an appearance in this book, as you can see here, and while it is a short one, it is awesome. So yes, it's mostly about their hunt for the rebels they pursue, and they sacrifice civilians for political agendas. All of it foreshadows what happened to Alderaan very nicely indeed. So another noticeable running theme is the constant struggle to live up to your parents' expectations, which was kind of a drag at times, but doesn't matter. As I see it, it's a obvious fucking theme in the book, but I'm not complaining. I'm just stating it is fucking obvious, and that's well. Let's see. As Tarkin progresses through his rite of passage, you can clearly notice how he constantly wants to live up to his parents' expectations, blah blah blah. But as he starts to advance in career, he sort of goes beyond that, really. He grows beyond wanting to live up to someone. He wants people to live up to him now. He is in charge now. Ain't nothing gonna stop him. Let's see. As Tarkin has a very brutal and strict perspective of the world, during his trials as a child, his uncle compliments how Tarkin's vest, saying it will look even better with blood on it. Because first, he was like this Boy Scout, looking forward to his rites of passage, sort of like that fat fuck from the movie Up. So think of him running down the fucking stairs like, yeah, and then his uncle's like, yeah, you boy, it'll look even better with blood on the jacket. Yeah. So another perspective is that this time we see the story from the Empire's perspective, establishing that not everyone in the Empire are evil. And I kind of compare this to how the Wehrmacht was treated during the World War II. And a lot of them were just soldiers who fought for a cause they didn't really believe in. They were just following orders. So a lot of insight towards the Empire, I would say, in this book. And personally, I love the Empire. Long live. So, great book. Can be draggy at times, but if you're into Star Wars lore, check this fucking thing out. If you haven't, just do it, I say. That's basically it for the Tarkin novel. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.